let's be very clear. This is a skin tech hackathon, okay? But I want to caution you, please do not get seduced by technology for technology's sake, okay? I'll give you an example. I had some students in my classroom not that long ago, and they're fascinated by virtual reality. So they have like a million different reasons why they want to apply virtual reality to problems where, quite frankly, virtual reality is like taking a sledgehammer to a mosquito. It's just not necessary. So you need to be thoughtful. You need to make sure that you apply just enough technology to solve the problem, okay? So, anybody see this product? It's a L'Oreal Kerastase brush. It's a $200 brush, and it's part of what we call the fourth industrial revolution, which we use Internet of Things sensors, and it allows you to analyze your hair cuticles and make specific recommendations of products that you might put in your hair, okay? Now, more recently, the FDA has approved low-level laser treatment for men's hair growth. And what's interesting is, unlike Propecia, which was a pharmaceutical, women could not take Propecia. Now, men and women who have thinning hair or hair loss can use products like the Hair Max. Now, the thing about the Hair Max, if you read the reviews, is you have to hold it over your head for like 11 or 12 minutes at a time. So maybe not necessarily the ideal approach. But then you have this design, and my Italian students in the room will love the fact that it is designed by Pininfarina, the same guy that designs Ferraris, okay? So when you bring in the guy that designs Ferraris, you know, you're making a statement. So they're trying to make it look cool and luxurious. Or if you really want to pick up women, okay, go to work someday with what they call the iGrow helmet, okay? Now that is one cool looking guy, right? Luigi, would you wear that in public, you think? I think you'd look good in it, okay? I think it would be another look for you, that it would work for you. All right, okay. So, of course, they talk, you know, their ad is get thicker, fuller hair, stop the appearance of hair loss, see results in 60 days. And they apply some science. They show that low-level laser technology begins to thicken the hair shaft. Feeling good about the way that you're in public. So now that we've gone through that, let's talk about what we're going to do today, okay? At its simplest level, you're here to create stuff people want, okay? Not stuff that's cool, not stuff that you want, not stuff that you think might be interesting, but stuff people really want. And so Beth Comstock, who's a remarkable woman, she's the vice chairman of General Electric. She's their chief innovation officer, highly respected woman. And I love the mantra, know thyself, then know thy customer, and only then you innovate. Okay, and why? First, know thyself. You need to know what you stand for. So this is something that I love to use with my startups when I'm on boards or advising startups. You know, if you've ever seen the great Simon Sinek TED Talk, The Power of Why, the first thing you have to do is have a sense of purpose. You have to stand for something, okay? All great, durable businesses stand for something, deeply. So as you form your teams, and you've already formed your teams, right? And I could tell last night that I loved watching some of my students interact with other people who've come from, you know, from other universities or other parts of the world to be here, right? But you can already see this incredible connection, this incredible mutual respect that's been developed, right? Because you guys are sharing your vision of what you stand for in the world, right? So that's got to be established. That's table stakes for any successful venture, right? Once you've gotten there, now you can say, okay, now who are the personas who we have deep empathy for, whose problems we care so much about that we can't imagine those problems not being solved? Often those may be problems that you face, a family member faces, right? But it brings deep emotional resonance to you. That's when you start to really get into the process. Define the problem from the perspective of the persona, and then begin to think about what are some of the solutions that are ideally suited. Okay, that's the process, okay? Now, let's be very clear. One size fits none, okay? So last night I was sitting with one of my student teams, and they defined their persona as all preteens and teens between the ages of 10 and 19, okay? And what I help them understand is that the difference between a 10-year-old boy and a 19-year-old young woman and how you communicate with them is so profoundly different that there's just no way that one solution, one app, one approach could possibly work. So my message is, when you think you've gotten enough focus, focus one more time, right? Focus one last time. So this is where the concept of human-centric design, or what some people call design thinking, comes in, okay? Human-centric design is the secret that let Apple be the company that we know today. Steve Jobs, Sir Johnny Ive, these were the guys that understood that it doesn't matter if you're selling to a business or you're selling to a consumer, all products are human to human, okay? Experience innovation comes from understanding a human and their way of being in the world, okay? And so I'm just gonna put up very quickly a design kit. It comes from the world's leading innovation and design thinking consultancy known as IDEO. These people worked very closely with Steve Jobs at the very birth of Apple and played a very significant role in Apple's success. And so it's a process, okay? It's a 5-step process, and the process is, first and foremost, it's about empathy, okay? Deep empathy for your persona. If you don't have empathy for your persona, you're working on the wrong project, okay? If you're not curious, if you don't really get excited, if your heart doesn't beat faster about understanding the challenges and the frustrations and the motivations of this persona, keep looking, because that's the rocket fuel you need to be effective, okay? And we'll talk about how you, from strong points of view about who your persona is, what their real problem is, really start to frame the problem, okay, in a very specific way. And at that point, now that we know the problem, now we go into ideation or brainstorming mode, okay? This is when we start to think of all the potential ways we might solve the problem. And some of those ways will involve technology, and some of them will not, right? You're not forcing it. It's a very clear, at this point it should be very clear what the appropriate level of technology should be. And prototyping, so critical. I would encourage all of you to think about a very low-def prototype at a minimum, right? Because prototyping is thinking with your hands. Quantitative, this is a very qualitative, if not downright spiritual approach, right? John Maeda, who was the president of the Rhode Island School of Design, and who's now a senior partner at Kleiner Perkins, the most successful venture capital firm in history, says it very well. It's more about feeling the rhythm than knowing the tune, okay? What is the emotional vibration that you're getting from your persona? When you start to really see them through body language and through voice inflection, you really can start to see when you've tapped into something where they're sharing with you their motivations, what's important to them, okay? Now you're onto something. Now you're in the zone, okay? So, of course, you want to talk to people, there's no question, but at the same time, you have to understand that we're not rational, okay? Most people want to be rational, but we're human. We're not rational. And so when you conduct interviews, more often than not, people will say things that are not true, not because they're liars, okay, but because they don't know themselves. There's another component, which is the anthropological opponent. Go and hang out with your persona in the wild, where they work, where they put on their makeup, where they do their acne treatments, where they go get their dermabrasion. On one of their projects that I'm sharing some of the great persona work and empathy map work, okay? And the first thing that happens is when you come back from one of these anthropological interventions, you are starting to document what your persona sees, what they feel, what they hear, okay? And then what are some of the quote unquote the pains, frustrations, obstacles that get in the way of them being fulfilled in that domain? What are some of the gains that you could give them, right? One gain is I don't have acne anymore. I can feel very confident when I go out on a date as a 15-year-old girl, okay? The second thing is, right, everything is a journey, just like the journey of your skin from infancy to old age, right? Your customer is on a journey. And you want to try to really document that journey at all of the important milestones along the path, and then begin to bring to that understanding of the journey the emotional impact, right? What they do, how they think. What are some of the opportunities for you to innovate in the skin and aging challenge, right? People that are, much more mature are on sort of one of the two outliers, if you will, on the bell curve distribution. So whether you work with young children or whether you work with people that are senior, you're going to see more extreme conditions around skincare, okay? Another example is, does anybody know Charlotte Tilbury? Charlotte Tilbury, okay, so some of you know Charlotte, right? Charlotte is a British makeup designer. She's in her early 40s. She spent a lot of time working with movie stars and musical people and celebrities. And at 42, she's developed her own brand, right? Makeup artists are extreme users, right? They're working with people that demand really amazing makeup, okay? And so the ability to find experts, prosumers, or professionals can really inform your solution. And then this poor young girl here, right? If you're talking about acne and you're working on the acne challenge, right? You can imagine how awkward this poor young girl would feel going to school or trying to have any kind of social life in the photo on the left. So again, working with extreme users, understanding their emotional journey, their challenges, gives you a lot of insight, okay? So now you come back from this discovery process, and now it's time for the team to go into brainstorm mode, right? Ideation and brainstorm mode. And take all of those observations and begin to unpack them. Begin to really discuss them. And the beauty here is that when you work with diverse teams, every one of you will see things differently. You all bring a lens to what you do, okay? And so it's great sometimes to see, and I wouldn't say arguments, but different points of view. So I heard this person say this. No, they didn't say that at all. Here's what I heard, right? That's the kind of discussion that you want to be having in these team rooms. You really want to understand everyone's perspective, okay? And so you spend an awful lot of time now identifying what you heard, trying to identify what are the problems that you believe you encountered, and begin to frame those problems, okay? And so at this point, again, thank you to Luigi and Nor and team. You now have a persona. You have identified your persona with a tremendous amount of specificity. You really are now talking human to human. You know exactly who you're designing for, okay? And you begin to put together a solution for that person, right? A solution. And so you're putting together your value proposition, okay? And then the final stage, of course, is once you put together that value proposition and that solution, you begin to prototype it. Now, prototyping can be as simple as a skit. It can be as simple as a sketch. It can be a little bit more where you start to design different screens, and you can do that on paper. You can do them in rapid prototyping apps or sketch apps. But to me, it's a very, very important part of the process, okay? And so the final stage, guys, is you're going to be pitching judges tonight. And I can tell from my own students, they're pretty damn competitive, right? You all want to win, right? And no matter how good you work in your groups, you need to tell the story to the judges in a way that is captivating, in a way that is compelling, in a way that is realistic. And so I would encourage you to find your very best speaker, okay? The person that is comfortable and natural, and give them the opportunity to tell your story. Give them the opportunity to do it well by providing them with all of the artifacts in the prototype, but put your best speaker out front. You have 5 minutes. It will go in the blink of an eye, okay? So, the best way to predict the future is to create it ourselves, and that's what we're here to do today, right? Now, our future is a little different than the times of the great Abraham Lincoln. This is a digital future. I imagine a lot of you will be seeing a lot of digital solutions tonight coming from it, okay? So all I can say is keep calm and hack, guys. Have fun. It's going to be awesome, okay? So I'm going to take a few questions. Yeah? Okay.
Come on, we want to hear some more of that. Come on, big round of applause for Grandinetti. All right. Oh my God, you illuminated us, you inspired us, and you gave us practical tricks to do a good job today.